The road to vaccinating the nation has been rocky. An early bet on AstraZeneca was derailed by a rare blood clotting issue that makes it risky for under 50s. The Pfizer vaccine, which uses breakthrough mRNA technology, is in global short supply, and Novavax won't enter production until at least the fourth quarter of 2021. But now there's another player in the mix, the US pharmaceutical giant Moderna, cutting a deal with the Morrison government to supply 25 million doses of its own well-regarded mRNA vaccine.
These vaccines would be provided on the basis of up to 10 million during the latter part of 2021 and 15 million during 2022.
Moderna performs at 94.1% efficacy against symptomatic COVID and 100% against severe COVID, and like Pfizer will be used here for under 50s, but it has the advantage of being easier to store and transport than Pfizer's serum.
Pfizer needs to be stored at minus 70 degrees, whereas with Moderna, minus 15 or 20 degrees has been shown to be sufficient. So that will make it much easier to store and move around.
Moderna is also testing new vaccine formulations for some of the worrying COVID variants that have emerged this year.
Moderna is, on the advice that we have, the most advanced of the vaccine products with relation to the capacity to adapt to booster or variant requirements.
In what could be a huge boost to supply, the government is in talks with Moderna to finally set up local manufacture of mRNA vaccines.
We've seen with our rollout that supply has been a huge challenge. So local manufacturing is definitely a huge part of that solution and will hopefully address the shortcomings of suppliers.
The opposition is asking why the deal has taken so long.
The Moderna vaccine has been a mainstay of the vaccine rollout strategies of almost every other nation to which we usually compare ourselves. Why do Australians have to wait to the end of this year?
But in the race to get us all vaccinated, is it a case of better late than never?
Jane Holton was head of the Australian Health Department for more than a decade and sits on the National COVID-19 Commission, and she joins us now. Jane, what difference is Moderna going to make to the vaccine rollout here?
Well, we're going to get extra doses of vaccine, but probably not till the end of the year. This will be the Moderna vaccine. It's one of those new mRNA vaccines. Where it'll make a real difference is next year, when we will have to probably boost, in other words, be dealing with some of the variants. So I think that'll be really good for us to have access to the Moderna vaccine, but mostly end of the year and then into next year.
So, Jane, I guess people want to know that if this Moderna vaccine is better against the variants that are emerging, what's your advice to people? Should they hold off all the other vaccines and just wait for the Moderna?
People should go and get vaccinated now. If you're in a category that you're eligible, go and get vaccinated. We can't wait until the end of the year and have 20 million people all try and get vaccinated in the last 2 months or so of this year. We can all do the right thing now and go and get ourselves protected.
Could people get the AstraZeneca now and then maybe next year get a top-up against those variants with the Moderna when it's available?
Absolutely. And in fact, we suspect that we will have to continue to boost, as in top people's vaccination up as we go forward, just like we do with flu. I think everyone is very familiar with that. And so, yes, get protected now, but exactly right. Next year, when we get to the need to top up or deal with these new variants as they come along, well, we'll be using something like Moderna. So, go get AstraZeneca now, and then next year, I suspect be all lining up again. But at least we'll all be protected in the short term.
How urgent is it that we get our own local mRNA vaccine manufacturer?
Actually having our own supply onshore is unbelievably important. I think we now understand that when we look at some of the challenges being faced around the world. So I'm really excited about the possibility that we'll get this cutting edge science and this new type of manufacturing in Australia. I think from a global health security perspective, it's a no-brainer. But, we also want these kinds of industries in Australia. They're smart industries. They are great jobs, and I'm really hoping that we can pull this off.
All right, Jane, thanks a lot for your insight.
My pleasure.
From expert opinions to in-depth analysis and reporting, the Project YouTube brings you the biggest stories from Australia and around the globe. Hit the subscribe button now for news delivered straight to your feed.